It is currently January 15th, 1:12 in the morning, and I've just finished scripting all of this. I have it on my phone, so that's why you see it in shot. Um, yeah. All right, let's get into it. Uh, so the album I'm revealing is called South Loop Summer. It just came out this Tuesday, and it's by the band Hospital Bracelet, who hasn't really had a full length album, more just EPs. The first track is the title track, South Loop Summer, and it is everything a high energy song by Hospital Bracelet should be. It's completely deserving of that title track, and honestly, it's probably going to be the most recognized song from this album. One of the most notable lines from this song is, "But if I can get into a car with people that matter, maybe I'm meant to be alive." Overall, the track is one that is deserving of the attention that a title track often gets, as well as is a great showcase of what the band is all about. Now, the next track is called Sober Haha JK Unless. It deals with just Now the next track is Sober Haha JK Unless. This is one of the three songs that were taken from their discography beforehand and redone. And this is a beautiful, beautiful rendition of this song. It almost drove me to tears the first time I heard it. It is a very powerful song about trying to get sober, and the person who writes all of the songs, their name is Eric Christopher, has dealt with substance abuse in the past, and they've actually talked about it on a podcast called High Notes, which was around a 30-minute interview. Uh, I'm not gonna dabble on that more than just this track, but it's there if you want to go look at that. The entirety of the song reads as a person wondering if they can get sober, as evidenced by the lyric, "I don't know if I want to overdose. Maybe I'm just constantly scared of being on my own," which shows us the indecisiveness of the person singing about their addiction and not knowing what they want. At the end of the song, we are left with two questions. Can I get sober, and can I stay sober? Which act like a little ray of hope in the eyes of the person whom has been singing, is now reaching out for help and trying to get clean, but they're still wondering if they can stay sober. The song is one of the three that was redone for this album, and it was redone beautifully. Like I said, it almost brought me to tears when I heard it the first time, because it's a very powerful and emotional song to the artist, and when you look at the lyrics, it becomes more of an emotional song as you look at it through the eyes of the person singing. Overall, as one of the three redone songs on the album, it definitely earns its place on the album, as it's incredibly powerful with its message. Happy Birthday was the track that they had released when they had announced the album, and I believe that this was one of the better choices that they could have made to release one of the songs before the album was released, as it was an already released track, so it was redone, and it showed us what they can do. And honestly, I don't know if I would have been as excited if they had released something like South Loop Summer as the kind of hype track, as I have nothing to compare it to, as with Happy Birthday, they already have a version of it out that was around 2 years old. So it was nice to see them release something to stir a bit of hype. It Like Sober is a redone version of an older song, but unlike Sober, it was previously on an acoustic track of their EP Neutrality Acoustic, which means this song got a full revamp of instrumentation behind it. There was no bass, there was no electric guitar, there was no drums. It was just a poorly tuned acoustic guitar and Eric singing the vocals. I don't fully know what the song is about, but From the lyrics, I'm gonna guess it is about it's about someone who the singer was previously in a relationship with. And one of the most notable lyrics is, "And the familiar feeling of your hands across my neck is not one that I will soon be able to forget," as it only appears in the song once, and it has very good imagery to it. You can kind of picture what's going on when those lyrics are sung, and they're actually sung very clearly, so there's no real, like, it's not like you can really mistake it for anything. Happy Birthday is a great showcase of the band sound, especially now that they are having full instrumentation behind these songs, and to see them redo older songs that they didn't have to is a special thing to see, as oftentimes bands are more concerned with getting more music out there than going back and refining older tracks that maybe could have used a touch up, or maybe could have used, actual instruments behind it instead of just an acoustic guitar, like this track. Now, this takes me to our second new song, which is called Feral Rat Anthem. It's a fun title. This song is directed kind of towards one person, which is something that we really haven't seen from this band yet, whereas it's more of a kind of, I'm not going to say breakup situation, but it's not a very harsh situation. But by the lyrics, "The bar is on the floor, it can't go any lower. I really hope you never learn to never forgive yourself, because everyone knows you're a lying cheat, and I hope you're always feeling incomplete." We can tell that Eric, as the writer of this song, really hates this person. I don't know why they hate them, but it must have been extremely harsh for those words to really come out. The subject matter is very intense, and I don't think we've seen a song like this yet by this band, so it's interesting to see it kind of come out on a new album as opposed to maybe a single. So, all that being said, it's a pretty good song, and it's chalked up with a lot of just emotion because of the hate that is really just driven towards this one person. I believe that this song is kind of more of an outlet than anything to get out that anger towards that one person. I'd expect this type of song more from a band like Heart Attack Man than I would from Hospital Bracelet, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just more of what you'll see a band like Heart Attack Man do than I would have pictured Hospital Bracelet doing. And to see them kind of go after this new niche of a song as opposed to something like their older stuff is really interesting, and I kind of want to see more of it, evolve. The next song is Sheets vs. Wawa. Sheets is the third new track on this album, and unlike the previous two that were more energetic, Sheets takes a somber tone with a more laid-back tempo. Halfway through the song, we get a bit more energy, but still with a somber tone of the song carrying over to the more energetic section. It's never as energetic as the title track or the upcoming track Sour OG RPG. So it's still a very, kind of more timid song, but it has more kind of guitar behind it. I want to see more of this type where it ramps up in the middle and then calms down, but still has that more calmer tone, as opposed to something like Happy Birthday, where it goes up at the start and then will come down at the end. The song lyrically confuses me because with lyrics like "punch you in the teeth, I never knew what you expected from me, believing in God has never been so hard, I'm not angry, I'm pissed off, and all I want to do is leave," and trying to figure out where I went wrong. Have you been this person all along? Your couch wasn't good enough. You climbed into my bed when I begged you not to. It covers a lot of different subject matters with this overarching experience that I don't fully understand what's going on, as there could be different contexts to it. With things like Believing in God has never been so hard, and you climbed into my bed when I begged you not to. It's a very powerful song about a lot of things that are supposed to be very kind of personal. And with Eric as the writer, I wouldn't really expect anything less than that. Eric is a very kind of authentic person with their writing, and to see this kind of emotion in more of a somber song is very nice to see, as it also carries over into the more. Overall, this is one of the most interesting tracks on the project, as a breath of fresh air from some of the other tracks which feel very similar to each other, like Happy Birthday, the title track, South Loop Summer, and Sour OG RPG, which is coming up next. Overall, this is one of the most interesting tracks on the project. It feels more like a breath of fresh air as opposed to some of the more energetic songs like Happy Birthday, Sour OG RPG, and South Loop Summer, respectively. So it's a very nice inclusion on the album, and I feel like it's one of the more interesting tracks on the album because of its new kind of format as opposed to some of the older songs, as well as Feral Rat Anthem, which is also more of a newer format. Sour OG RPG is one of my favorite songs on this album. It is redone beautifully. This was the third redone track, and it did not disappoint by any means, and it's honestly my favorite track on this album. And that's partially because it was one of my favorite tracks on their EP Neutrality Acoustic. To see a song like this be redone like this with so much energy behind it is awesome. Like I stated before, the original, like Happy Birthday, was an acoustic track, making the new rendition all the more impressing and breathing a new life into an almost 2-year-old song. It's weird to think about, but 2 years is a lot of time. It's been a long time, and for them to go back and redo these songs that were released around 2 years ago is really kind of important to me, that they take the time to perfect older songs as opposed to create newer ones to create a larger discography. The song is one of the most nerdy premises I've seen in a while, with it using terms like critical hit, chaotic neutral, NPC, and homebrew campaign, with chaotic neutral and NPC being used to describe the artist. These are all Dungeons and Dragons terms, so the song is completely about going over to someone's house and playing Dungeons and Dragons. Some of the most noticeable lyrics are, "And I wish you could see that I'm stuck in a homebrew campaign. I promised I wouldn't leave, and you really are trying to get me to stay, but we both know this won't end the same way. And I was an NPC and you were the DM, and it all comes down to the fact that this was never meant to happen. When I told you I loved you and you said you didn't love me, it was a critical hit." The song originally started with a spoken line, but with the new rendition of it has been removed, and the same went for Happy Birthday, where there was a one line in there that they had removed that was not needed, so they just removed it. The song doesn't lose any value because that isn't there, but when hearing the first rendition over and over and over again, to now hear the new one without it, it's a bit kind of eye-catching. Overall, this was the highlight of the album for me, to see one of my favorite songs by them completely redone with, honestly, one of my favorite guitar riffs within this album was just incredible. On to our last track. This has only taken us 40 minutes. I'm proud of me. Summer Friends reminds me of the song Pothole by Modern Baseball, where they used it to end off their album You're Gonna Miss It All. It leaves us with only an ending that you can really have with this type of song, with a more, not really somber note, but it's a more laid back and calm song. The song is one that really requires full attention, and maybe you look at the Genius page to read along, because the the song at first is a bit harder to digest. I had a hard time understanding it at first, and now it's one of my favorite tracks because I looked at the lyrics. The entire premise is in the name. Summer Friends is about your summer friends and what ends up happening after summer ends. With the line, your summer friends change with the weather. As fall comes in, they slowly drift away into their different circles, and you'll always have that summer, but they're only there for that summer. Some of the notable lyrics are, and your summer friends are only around for the summer, and your summer friends are forgetting each other. Your summer friends are moving on to literally anything better. Your summer friends will change with the weather. After everything you put me through, why would I still want to stand by you? And I'm buried in this hospital bag for what feels like home. This hospital bracelet's the only thing that makes me feel like maybe I'm not so alone. Overall, the song has grown on me, and at first I viewed it as a low point of the album. It's now one of my favorite songs on the album, as well as a perfect ending to the project. Eric Christopher is a wonderful and talented person. I am incredibly excited to see with what they come up with next, be that them still working on Hospital Bracelet, or if they are to create another project. I will be here for it. Eric is a breath of fresh air, as well as the rest of the band, as in a genre where being kind of a crummy person is almost rewarded in a way. It's nice to see someone who is making music in this community kind of denounce those people and kind of say, we don't tolerate that here. So to see someone like Eric succeed with the way that they have, I'm extremely thankful that I'm able to view it, and I'm extremely thankful that I'm able to realize it. Uh, that's all. It's 2 now. I'm probably gonna go lay in bed and watch TV for an hour, and then wake up at like 3.